All right, so catching up from Tuesday, not much happened this week. I took a break even, I think yesterday, I think it was. Today, I didn't really see the point in trying to trade these intraday moves. So pretty slow week. I mean, if we're looking at where we opened, right, today is the 25th, so we opened up the 20th, I believe, yeah. So this is all of this week's move, pretty much. Very, very slow. Expected though, considering the fact that we just had a very, very big move last week. So I wasn't too worried. In terms of what movements happened this week, it was all pretty much very corrective, very sloppy. And we're pretty much at honestly, we're at a very decisional point right now. Like, I think Tuesday we discussed the potential, the return into this inefficiency, which is exactly what happened. You got a reaction, you came back again, but that is concerning, right? Because you got the reaction, right? And we can even discuss pretty much structure here. High, low, retracement, right? We break, well, we don't break preliminary structure immediately. We create a higher low, a higher low, unwillingness, then the break of structure, causing this to be solidified high, high, low, retracement, right? And then we have another retracement that bounced off a candle, right? And so this gave us unwillingness after we took structure. So this makes this unwillingness based on high, low, retracement, unwillingness, potential optimism, but that did not sustain. No substantial new high, and that immediately came back into the range. So technically, you are bullish here, right? Based on unwillingness, right? Optimism, retracement because you're now in a low high retracement, right? Solidified low because we took out preliminary structure, right? And then we have another set of unwillingness because we then take structure out, making this bearish again. So retracement, continuation, retracement, continuation. But now we have momentum in play. So this is not necessarily the type of sell position I would like to take, but it's an area that can pretty much tell us which direction we're going to take. So, right, two things can happen. This can continue lower and disrupt because we already have the substantial new high that was occurred. This was the optimism because we even took out a previous high, right? So that pretty much made this the solidified low, right? Based on high, low, retracement, low, retracement, right? So if we end up taking this out, right, and we don't react from here and come lower, but instead we come higher, that'll give us the opportunity to pursue that liquidity up there. A bit tricky. I don't want to essentially say which direction makes more sense to me because this is all just a corrective move. So in terms of an overall perspective, right, because we have relative equal lows now, right, who's to say we either react here, right, or we take liquidity and react up here to then take liquidity and go up, right? That's obviously the typical smart money concept approach, but the only reason why I don't see why that would happen is because of where we're reacting from currently, right? Because we referenced the structural range that we're in. We're already in a discount, right? The discount was achieved. Right now, my only issue is where this is bouncing from. If we're looking at, this is the final potential POI, meaning invalidation point. There was essentially tapped and then created a reaction. So I don't know if this is willing to sustain itself, right? Even though we already have given that push. So Monday is going to be very interesting. I think next week we'll actually see moves again. This week, not too worried. Bearish order flow still in play currently, and we'll pretty much see what happens there over the pretty much the next 30-45 minutes. Moving on to EU. Right, this one was another awkward one, just because look at what we've done in the span of a week. Pretty much nothing. Right, 100 pip range in the span of a week. That's very, very small in my opinion. But originally, right, I was looking to see how far we were wanting to retrace, because at the end of the day, this is just a retracement unless we start to see any type of solidified high, which is then taken out to create a new structural range. Like, let's just say we don't create a reaction, then a new structural range, then I would be bullish. So originally, this is what we were looking for, right? But if we start zooming in, there is currently, right, the same inefficiency that we saw on DXY. So for one, right, the reason why I'm kind of just sitting out on this one is low, high, low, high, right? Reaction from the POI gives momentum, gives unwillingness based on the solidified low, right? So this is the unwillingness, solidified high, I'm sorry. This then gives unwillingness here and gives us a push to the upside, which takes structure, right? Meaning this is technically bullish, but I'm not gonna buy this type of retracement in terms of an overall momentum shift to the downward. So not something I'm too attracted to. There was a decent scenario here. I told myself if I was going to sell it, it would only make sense if I took it in the most conservative way. So as you can see, the red line is actually the previous high here, which is the 50% essentially reaction. So price then came in, created a solidified low, created a solidified high, filled the inefficiency, gave the immediate break of structure, right, and then a super deep retracement, right? So I was looking to see if this move would have given us a move back into a premium, back into a POI, which would then give us a lower price. But unfortunately, right, this happened. This move to the downside happened, making this our solidified high, to creating a new low, which even took structure out. So this actually bounced off of a M3 inefficiency, right, because of the internal high low retracement. So not the best in terms of how the opportunity presented itself, but the opportunity is still there. However, I'm a bit concerned because of where we are currently, right? Although this is very strong momentum. Same thing with DXY. This is a very crucial point. If we break this point, I would pretty much like to say we are bearish. And if we begin to react, then it could be another sign of unwillingness. But you also have to reference that we have low, mitigation, right? Potential mitigation again there, right? Inefficiency mitigation, right? Wick mitigation here, and another mitigation here. That's a ton of mitigations to not create a substantial new high. So this could be a sign of weak order flow, and for all we know, this could happen, or this could happen. Right, so I'm confident in the sell bias unless we see strong momentum come into play. Right, it's just unfortunate that we didn't actually reach the H4 POI. So if I don't get the price that I want, I'm not going to force my trade out of it. And so yeah, looking at AU, I did take one position this week. Right, and it was pretty much here. So I'm trying to reference, I believe it was H4, was it? No, it was. So for one, very bearish closure, right? Potential minor inefficiency there, but I'm trying to find the specific POI here. There we go. Right, this is where we are essentially reacting from. to the T, and we even broke structure here, right? So we broke structure, right, during session, or pretty much at the end of New York session. And so I was anticipating a retracement the following day, and then we moved to the downside. And pretty much what I was playing off of was this candle here, which gave us an M5 reference point here. At the inefficiency fill. So obviously, right, we need to wait for a reaction, see what we are given. Right, so right, as we are coming higher, we're seeing disproportionate volume, right? However, right, or no, I'm sorry, wrong high. We are still bullish. Okay, so even though we have the disproportionate volume, we are still bullish. Even if you could say we have momentum, whatever it is, we are still bullish. So we continue higher, diminishment of volume, right? And here, substantial new high, no demand whatsoever, but supply appears and gives a strong momentum, which takes the immediate structural point to the downside, because this is the low that created the final high, which took liquidity in the form of high 1 and high 2. So I was seeing a potential schematic occur, right, being your buying climax secondary test, up thrust, taking liquidity, as you can see, based on that high, taking liquidity, continuation, UTAD, right? And so this would have been my potential LPSY. So the only issue right here, right, well, not the issue, but my entry was actually, I believe it was M3. Yes, it was. Even M5, I believe, was a good POI. Yes. So conservative POI would have been M5. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Nico? What matters more here, let me show you. The only reason why this even means anything to me is because of this. This shows an intent to want to come lower. That's what matters here. Let me see. Please let me finish, bro. Please, please, hold on. Let me finish, please. Okay, so conservative entry. Three pips. Not conservative entry, more aggressive. Would have been a 2-pip. And that was my 2-pip. Could have even been 1.5, but put 2-pip. That entry, obviously, break even, partial number 1. Maybe this is the final leg to the upside. And this is my break even. So after my partial, we go, I believe, about 20 pips-ish, right? And my second partial was actually going to be there, but I unfortunately didn't catch it. Right, pretty much perfect equal low. That creates a bearish structural range in the form of a high, low retracement, right? Potential unwillingness until we break the high. We didn't break the high, so unwillingness again, meaning this is still in the retracement. But we then have a bullish liquidity grab, and that's pretty much what's gonna give me that break even here. So the reason why this LG is a lot more important too is because this low did not make a new low, right? In terms of once we zoom out, right? Low, the entire retracement. I would have expected the retracement high to create a substantial new low. So once we see the LG, right, it's even though it's still potentially a pullback, now bullish order flow is in play. And unfortunately, we see price continue higher, which is fine. This is obviously during Asia session, and that's fine. GU, not something I was looking at. Something I didn't really look at this week. One, because remember the POI we referenced didn't get topped. Two, the second daily POI also wasn't topped, so we're still stuck in between that. And as we go further into H4, there was a good mitigation off of H4 wick continuation, but not really something I was wanting to trade because it wasn't where I wanted it to. So two different types of POIs here. There is the inefficiency and there is the turbulence point, right? So unfortunately, if I would have taken the turbulence point, then I would have maybe caught a move to the downside. But what makes more sense to me is potentially seeing, the reaction occur, break of structure, structural range to the downside. I would have wanted something up here during session, but unfortunately that's not what we got, and we are now essentially in this range. But yeah, let's see what EU is doing. Okay, taken out. Nice. Right, pretty much giving me that bearish view for next week. Pretty much what's giving me that bearish view for next week. But yeah, very unfortunate I didn't get that full retracement there. Anyways, quick lecture today, just because I only took pretty much one position this week and it was a partial break even. Hopefully next week we actually see some movements, right? Who's to say we don't come back into a wick or anything like that. So do you guys have any questions? Any questions? Are there I know a lot of you taking good positions this week. AU, I know I saw AU sells. I don't really agree with these AU sells if I'm being honest. I still think that's picking a high, especially because we showed intent to want to go lower and then we created a new high. This sell, unless we break this low, right? I don't know. That's not something I would have taken, if I'm being honest. But yeah, we'll see how this reaction gives us movement. But yeah, because we already showed the break of structure, unwillingness, scalp break of structure, reaction, but unfortunately this didn't give us any move extra to the downside. That shows to me that this is hesitant to want to come lower, so it'll probably go higher. Yeah. We come right back in that high. Yeah, if we start breaking here, this could probably give you a move to the upside. You'll know probably in like the next 10 minutes. But let's see. Right, so you better hope this breaks here. But other than that, does anybody have any questions? Any questions, concerns, questions? Cool, cool. Yeah, I don't think I've had a Zoom this quick in a while. Yeah, pretty much, honestly, it was a boring week. Boring week. Hopefully we get something next week. Cool, so we're good? No questions, nothing? Alright then. Fine by me. Alright, you guys have a great weekend. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Yeah, have a great, safe weekend.